Hey, well, welcome to Tracking TV's news for today. It's Friday, unbelievably, the 7th of December 2018. And what have we got for you today? Well, quite a few bits and pieces, to be honest with you, because it's kind of the end of the week and stuff kind of gets pulled together by various people. And the first thing we've got is a fairly large fortnightly report that we get from Her Majesty's Constabulary, who do something called, excuse me, I'm just doing a little link between computer systems. What fun we have. Okay, so that's just going to get that working and we should be good. Okay, so NAVSIS is the name of the organisation that sends us this stuff, and what they try and do is to keep people in the haulage industry updated with where a lot of crimes are happening. They do their best, and I think what this comes down to largely, it depends on what kind of feedback, if you like, they get from the local police forces in your and every other area. I think they get the major crimes, but sometimes police forces don't report to them, and all you can say is, well, there you go. So what we're going to do each time we get one of these reports, we'll play it in and you can see what you think. Have a look at this, and I think some of these are items that we've already reported, but this is the police take on them, if you like. First one we've already reported, which is at the Riverside Transport Cafe, Colnbrook bypass, close to the M4 and M25, Junction 15, Colnbrook. We've seen this one in some detail, and we do know that the cafe are doing their very best to get security working there, but we'll have to wait and see if they make any progress with that one. The Northamptonshire Police report a hotspot at the Red Lion truck stop, Weedon Road, Harpole, Northampton. That was from Tuesday the 27th of November, when 3 trucks had side curtains cut and some high-value products were stolen. Thames Valley Police also report some criminal activity at Newport Pagnell Motorway Services. That's irregular, as we all know. This one is reported from Tuesday the 28th of November, when 4 vehicles were targeted, side curtains were cut and some products were stolen. West Yorkshire Police are asking you to be aware of problems at the Freightliner Terminal, Valley Farm Road, Sturton and Leeds. Since March this year, they said there have been numerous freight crime incidents, and organised crime groups are targeting parked and attended HGVs and stealing their loaded products. Greater Manchester Police are noting that the industrial estate at Greber Road, Altrincham, is also being targeted by thieves. They cut curtains and stole toys on the 17th of November 2018. Finally, one bit of nice news from Greater Manchester Police. On the 28th of November 2018, an HGV driver alerted the police as he heard offenders entering his trailer doors. Greater Manchester Police attended the scene and arrested 6 males who had actually taken the load, and they also recovered a vehicle. They have ongoing inquiries, they say. And so there we go. I hope the sound is better for you now, matey, because as usual, you get little bits and pieces that go wrong. So what's the man's name? Steve, I hope that sound is a bit better for you. Okay, so what have we got beyond that point? Quite a lot of stuff, actually, today. A little bit more in the direction of crime. So let's have a look at this one. This is quite an interesting little oddity coming up here. This was 12 bottles of cola, 12 pallets of bottles of cola, which was at Lee Delamere last night. 12 pallets, that's a lot, isn't it? There you go. Someone's going to have a farty Christmas, I guess, if it's fizzy drink. There you go. Okay. And we also had an interesting one from that we picked up from a site around the place, the very popular Safe Parking site, which is an excellent website. Okay, and let's just take a look at this as well. See what you make of that. This was Rothersthorpe, and the driver was woken by police at 4 a.m. with the back doors of the trailer opened and 1 pallet of small lightweight boxes stacked outside the trailer, ready for the van to come and pick them up. But the van was already engaged doing another robbery on the other side of the services. But the police managed to turn up there and arrest them. Now, whether they'd had a lead on this crime or not, we don't know really, do we? It's an interesting question. But maybe they've just been patrolling. So maybe one of the things that came up in conversation about this on that page, on the Safe Parking Facebook page, was whether the police actually knew anything about it in advance or whether they were just doing a patrol, and maybe thanks to various pressures on the police, whether they're actually trying to take a bit more notice of motorway parking situations. It would be nice to think that they are. I don't know really, do you? But it's a hopeful sign if they're managing to nick some people. And as you probably saw in our little video run that I had on a few minutes ago, the police are claiming the few odd victories, which is really nice to see. Okay, so that's brought us up to date with our kind of newsy bits. There are lots of crimes happening that we don't see. We'd like to see them. If you know of a crime, theft from a truck or curtains slashed, we'd love to hear from you, and I'd like to see photographs as well, and we'll publish them and embarrass the buggers, the motorway services and the truck stops, embarrass them into doing something about it, because the world doesn't know that truck curtains are getting slashed every night. The world doesn't know that cargo is being nicked out of trucks every night. And to be honest with you, it's time they did, and that's why I'm doing this. Okay, so on to the next topic. The topic I want to talk about is the one I promised to talk about yesterday. I call it the elephant in the room because it's the one that we never seem to see really mentioned by anyone official very much. Although drivers tend to mention it quite a lot, as I think we can all understand. The truth is that that what happens out there in the world is that drivers talk about things, and the companies, if they can, I guess you would say, kind of ignore it, don't they, if they can. And the one we want to talk about in this instance, two in fact, is the wonderful driver shortage. We were talking about this yesterday and I did some more research on it. And one of the comments that came up straight down the line, and this came not from drivers, this came not from an official source, but it came from an expert who I rang up and had a chat to. I can't tell you his name because he didn't want me to. But what he said was that at the moment drivers are paid crap wages, which I think most people agreed with in many cases. There are some cases where drivers get a decent wage, but in many cases they're a bit too close to the minimum wage for comfort. And what he was saying was that at some point, if the driver shortage continues, at some point some of the companies will start to say, we're looking for really good drivers, and if you're really good, we'll pay you more. And that will then break the dam a little bit and actually get more people involved in the industry. The shortage of drivers is entirely up to economic reasons. The truth of the matter is that a lot of continental and foreign and, let's say, Eastern Bloc drivers who we have working in the UK now are only here because the money is better than they can get at home. If the money here was better than it is now, then we might get more English and British drivers driving our lorries. What a nice idea that would be. The other thing that needs to be addressed is the other elephant in the room, which is the one that's talking about the wonderful idea that you pay for your training and then someone pays you as near as they can to the minimum wage. What a jolly idea that is for drivers. So what we need to do is start addressing the way that drivers are dealt with. We had a story the other day from the head honcho at PD Ports who said that drivers are treated appallingly. That's a good old phrase, isn't it? Drivers are treated appallingly. So we need to start working on this one. We need to start thinking about ways to do it, because in reality, drivers, you are the guys who are taking the wages and say, I'm working for crap money. Well, yeah, go and do something else and make this situation worse. The reality is that if drivers emigrated from the industry, as they sometimes do, then the wages would have to go up, because at the moment you can't get people to come and do the job. So at some point, one company or another is going to say, well, if we go out for the best people that we can really get, good people, and offer them £1 an hour more than the crap they're getting, maybe we'll get better drivers. Maybe we'll be able to fill all our vacancies, and that will force other companies to put the wages up, and maybe that will bring more people into the industry. So the answer to the industry shortage is actually in the hands of the companies who employ drivers. Pay a bit more, guys, and drivers will come rushing to your door. The other thing about it, of course, is that you need to make it an attractive job for younger people, because that's something else that the industry is not doing. If you went and asked kids in school, I'm planning to do this, if you went and asked kids in school if they would fancy a job as a truck driver, I suspect they would say, no, poke that up your bum, because the reality, of course, is that they see guys, maybe they've got friends, maybe their own dad is a truck driver, and they see him being away from home, they see him working 10 or 12 hours a day and still not feeling very well off. So the reality is that the job isn't worth the money, so drivers say, well, don't want to do it, really. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Where do we go with this one? My view on this entirely, to be honest with you, is that the haulage industry needs to get its act together, and the haulage industry needs to change the way it works. It needs to actually look at drivers' wages properly, and it needs to look at drivers' training costs properly. So where do we go with that one? I think we've gone as far as we can, but what we need is your feedback, your comments, your views, because from my point of view, all I can say is what I can say. It needs drivers to do more about it. How do you do it? Can you walk away from your job? No, you can't. You need a job. But how do you get more money on that job? I think we have to wait until the companies catch on to realise that eventually, if you pay more money, you get more jobs, more people applying for your jobs. It's a bloody good question, isn't it? Okay, I'm Chris. This is Trucking TV Live. Today is Friday. We've been online for about a quarter of an hour. And if you want to get in touch, these are all the methods you can use to get in touch. The one that we don't get much use from is a phone. You can leave a voice message or a text message on that phone number. It's 07943 043 760. If you've got something you want to hear, if you've got something you want the world to hear, phone that number, leave a message. I cannot guarantee when stuff will be played, but as long as you keep it clean, then there you go. We'll get your message out there one way or another and let other people argue about it. Okay, I'm Chris. This is Trucking TV, and I'm going to have my lunch now.